Hey people, in that last movie I was telling you that this OBD here, I believe that B reads as a R in there, and this is where the word Lord comes from, and it's usually always to serve, to work, to serve, to labor. This is the base of to obey, to obed, the servant, the slave, and you see it come up 4 times in a row here, and it gave him trouble, to do the work of the service, obeyed, and the work and obeyed it, bearing the burdens of the tabernacle. And it stunned him in the Greek and the Latin, try to interpret it too. I don't know the word for it, but there's many times that there's that letters that represent a sound that's not what you're seeing, and not just in diphthongs, but there's another word for it when it's in consonants. And I've found many patterns of letters that do this, and I'm always searching for more. I'm trying to figure out exactly when the G turns into an N now. And this OBD, I believe it's turned into an R, maybe not all the time. It might have something to do with whether it's a consonant or a vowel here or here is how it reads. I was looking at another word that was leading me to that conclusion, and when I mistakenly saw it here in this old Torah, it's the B, almost looks like the old R there squeezed in this line. And it just makes sense, to obed, the one to obed, the L is to obed, is the one to serve, is the Lord. So I'm sure it changes from the B to the R, depending on some of these surrounding letters here, whether it's consonants or vowels around it. I'm not sure what, but I always try it both ways. And you see the number on this word. It's a 5656, these three, and this one's a 5647. There's 10 words in between here, and most of them are probably be the same thing, obed, meaning the same thing. And they give them different places just because of the vowel points around them. They'll change the words, however. But I imagine this obed, goes a couple words ahead and a couple words behind, and they scatter, mostly, meaning the work. But they'll probably scatter many other meanings on it. But on the subject of vowel points, this is Joshua, the Old Testament, and this is Joshua in the Greek, and it has 3 different spellings, and all 3 of them in the Greek are the same spelling as Jesus. If you was reading this, if you didn't know you was reading in the Old Testament, you would read this and said Jesus to the people. You wouldn't know it was Joshua without the vowel points. And so when they read this Joshua up here, you don't need any of these letters but this S. This S is the only letter being read. This J here comes from these 2 dots here. These letters nothing. This letter's nothing. This letter's nothing. The little dot up here is where they're getting this O. The S is here. The H is the little dot above the S here. The U is these 3 dots below. And the A is this line below. If that makes any sense to you, you're a better man than me. When I see it, it says Jews, Jews of. They say people were reading the consonants only before this Braille was added later. How in the hell would they know how to read that as Joshua? So Jesus is like the same as Abel. Cain killed Abel for his flock. Jesus had a flock. Cain killed Jesus and took his flock. The flock don't know. There's not any of the flock know how to read any of this. They're all just a bunch of schmoes. They just, whatever they hear, if they like it, they repeat it. A schmo. But none of them has ever done the work of learning how to read any of these languages. I know this for a fact because I've taught myself to read all 3 of them. And by reading the story, I know that no Christian, Jew, or Muslim has ever learned how to read any of this. And it's a test. You see here, it's a big test. The people to test. And respond here when for testing. To have a test. The O-I reads as an E, a T-E-S, a test on. And have test on carry on. A letter who they not. Wise on from art where is. Everybody's wearing this letter T on their neck and they have no idea what it represents. It's just part of the test. It's the sign. Here's your sign. Everybody who they can talk into wearing this T on their neck, That's their mark. They know that that's a mark. It's the mark of, I'm a sheep, just tell me what to do. And so let's look at this here. You know, the marked where is, you know, the witnesses from art where is. You know, where you see it painted on the wall, that's the witness. And those letters that appear different what they sound, this is a group of them right here. This E-I-P-E reads as E-Y-S-E. And it's wise. And wise in means knowing. Wise in Jesus. You know, wise in yes ofs. The love ofs. Force it on, no on. And wise in loves of force it on, no on. From art where is his catch 'em on. You know, the catch 'em on. Some people can see it and catch it, and some people don't. And it appears to be his hands. You know, if somebody's deaf, they're going to look at that old Egyptian art, that old Jesus art, and they're going to be reading his hands. You know, it kind of means, you know, ignore what you hear, nobody knows. They're a bunch of schmoes. You know, only trust what you see. And so the L-A, you know, in the Hebrew, it's thou shalt not. And I believe it means more as know, as in K-N-O-W, to know. And on is light, color, to know the light. And wise in yes, forced on, to know on. Jesus was forcing the people to wake up, to know on from art where is his, to catch him on. You know, to read the art, see what the signs mean. And then this Audi, you see it opposing the key most of the time, or K, is the way I want to pronounce that. And here it means like a parquet, it means because, you know, K, why, the reason why. And I believe it means about the same thing here, it's just written different as Audi, you know. If you did this, you know, this is what should happen, you know, because it's the reason why in Audi. And so just stop when you see it and read it as, you know, because, or the reason why. Because excel its systemize, have test on the carry on letter who in. You know, the letter, the latrine, all the words for writing and bathroom come from the same place. Not everybody have a pencil, everybody had a shit stick though. Everybody went to the bathroom every day and had a shit stick. And the letter who they not advise on from art where is. I advise you not this letter. And then over here in Hebrew, it's instead a Jews on ism. A Jews on ism. An ism is a belief, and it's, you know, the J-E-W-S and the O and A words reading backwards. The L followed by the A reads as an N. And you see that a lot in the word O-L. They read it as on, and this doesn't mean on unless the next word begins with an A. You know, the next letter is an A, then that would read as on. But it says in Yammer, and said, a Jews on, and then the A-E reads the E-S-N-O-M. And a Jews on ism, the Jews on belief. And the witness is to admit, you know, the second M here reading as an I. And either way, you know, it was Adam at. And admit of come. For with the vertum, to rise up. You know, you see it over here, you know, it's this excel, you know, excel, to move out front, the chosen ones to excel. And for mit of vertum, to rise up, to come. And to you, the Lord of two. You know, the Lord means to and serve. And this of too, you don't see this often, but it's almost the same word over here in the Greek, A-U-T-O. And it kind of is, they both read backwards starting with the A. And they totally sound different when you read it backwards, and it totally changes the meaning. But the T-W-A, you know, it means, you know, this is the way it was written for the purpose of poetry or song or rhyme. It means this way I wrote it, doesn't mean this is the way it happened. But it reads, you know, the V-A-U-A reads as a T-E or a D-E. And Lord, what to? The TEW, the shape yammer, to shape the word would The Lord, what shape the word would it's talking about the cross, the T, the letter T, on both sides, talking about the same thing. Back in the Old Testament, that cross was an ancient symbol of Thoth, God of thought, the God of writing. The one who shaped all the words. He was the one that created this language to make it possible to create a man out of the earth. He created the whole language out of earth because he knew that somebody was going to try to lay claims on his book. And this way they couldn't do it. They couldn't change. They tried to change the language, but they couldn't because the earth always goes back to heritage. And yammer, use all ism adamant of come. For metavertimal come. To you, Lord, what to yammer would To you, Lord, what shape word would And I haven't even looked at this Latin here. It looks like Jerome was really trying to cut corners on these. But this is over here where it came up 4 times in a row. I'm not sure where this was. I showed him the beginning of that movie. If you look up top, you'll see. But over here, everybody who comes 50 years old, when you become 50 years old, that comes them a cynical. Everyone been 50 years old, they been comes a cynical. You see here in the Hebrew, it's 30 years and above, even up to 50 years old. And over here in the Greek, it's just 25 years, 5 and 20. It makes you wonder why it was interpreted like that, why they changed up them 5 years. And then back in Jerome, he went back to the 30 and 50. But you can see the reason why is because the numbers aren't numbers, they have meaning. And at 25 years old, you offend who they cautious to. At 25 years old, nobody wants to offend you. You mad and mean, ready to stomp some ass. And we're reading backwards, of offend who they cautious. The AE reading is an ES, the cautious doves. So whatever went with 30 years just didn't fit in this tune here. So they changed it to 25 in the Greek. At 30 years old, is from Ben Solissum is in whom all. Solace everybody, solace them all. Would Ben comes cynical of the Lord. Cynical of the Lord. Everybody, everyone who comes in to do work, the work of the service, the work of the burdens of bearing in the tabernacle of meeting, they all must be cynical of the Lord. And when I pulled this off to study it, I seen that over here in the Greek, they use the word ergo for the works, ergonomics, and the virgin, the VERGON. Like I say, this is another word where this G here, sometimes it reads as an N. I'm not exactly sure when it does. But I thought I'd be able to catch it if I studied this here in the Greek and the Hebrew. Of the things being lifted in the tent, the arum is sent. The AIROM, the arum in, and the AE, reading as the is sent, ENT. The arum is in sent, being lifted. Yeah, they were flying, and the arum is sent, a skinnet of, a kite, a hang glider, Back in the day, they used to use buffalo hides to make their tent, a skinnet of. And from art where that was your mortuary. Everything on the wall where you're buried everything is about you. RT, ART, where, YOU. From art where you. In heaven, where God is in, thou art in heaven. Our Father who art in heaven, from art where you. You done built you an airplane, and your arum in is sent, the skinnet of, from art where you. You done built you a skin Yeah, I built you a leather airplane. Look into it, and that's where they used to build them back in the 30s. And over here in the Hebrew, that's how they used to make them. They would stretch the skin over a balsam wood, and that almost what this looks like. The BAE reads as the BES and the LMWD, the balsam wood. Balsam wood and the skin into from art whereof you, the arum in is sent the skin to from art where you, balsa and leather. That's what the first planes were made out of 6,000 years ago, apparently. From Ben Salicums, in whom all the wood Ben comes cynical of the Lord, ord, toward the ward. The you see the W-O and the B, I read it as the R. See in the work there, the word is the work. And the Lord, ord, and turd the word. And from saves, S-A-V, and the A-E reads the E-S. And saves all wood. From Ben Salicums, in whom all the wood. Ben comes cynical of the Lord, ord, toward, the order, O-R-D, is the work being done. Put everything in its order. And categorize everything, the work, the order. And Lord, ord, toward, the word it from saves all wood. But in the Greek, this repeated word is going to change up more because of the E on the front, and the A on the back. Anytime an A is before it, it's going to turn into an ES, and anytime an E is after, it's going to turn it into the ES. And I know the G reads as an N sometime. You see it in the word angel. And it would be a whole lot easier to find a book somewhere, to tell the secrets of the language. But there is none. That book's long gone. It's hidden way back in somebody's library at the Vatican they don't want you to have. Of offend who they cautious of's a weapon, the W-E-P-A-N, the weapon, has fent a contest of's. Has fent a contest of's. The fent is where they get the 5, the cont is the 10, the 5 and 10s, fent contest of's, and the AETOUS, this is where they get the years from, same as here. And a space, SPAS, a space of the E after the O reads as of is for the women, the WOMEN, the women as. A space is for the women as forced is got, the forced in A-E and E-S is got. A god of virgin. Forced is God of virgin. Forced to work in prostitution. A virgin means a prostitute. And a working girl. A V, N before the E. A V, a virgin. And forced is god of virgin. What is Ergata? Ergata, that's your navy. And that would be, what the birds represent. The Navy was represented by the birds. It was seen, if you had sails on your boat, you were seen to be flying using wind power. And the arum in is sent the skin it of from art where it's some art about a sailboat. And then this Latin down here. You plainly see it says it's the ingredients. The ingredients is the cynical of the Lord. The ingredients, what goes in it. A bunch of cynicism. And at regenta on is set supra, it's set over. Not like a 3-sail rig, a trigenta, or a 30-foot rig. A trigenta on is set supra. Was quit onum cinco gismum. A gismum would be the the tens, zeros, the 5, and jism. And the ingredient is administerium, that minister the yum the day, to burn accurately, no telling. And here the ET, it reads the same as the key, it's evolve, and honor a port onto, to the port. And good chance the MUM, just like the MIM in the Hebrew is the N, and the MEM in the Greek is the N. Good chance this MUM reads as an N. The Cinco age is in, the 5 age is in. Ingredient is administerum, to burn a cull and honor port and honor a portend. So I'm not even going to go over this. I'm just going to post it, and I'll watch it after I post it and see what else I learn out of it. And I'm sure I'll catch some stuff, and I'll tell you what I caught. But I want to get on to this. I want to make another movie here about what this pig, about a pig being unclean, and what it really says about the pig here. But I'm going to cut this off here. I know it's not my best movie ever, but if you want to see my best movie ever, it's the Fat Catawba Way here, the story of an ancient burial. And it's what it actually says when Moses is coming down from the mountain with the 10 Commandments. And I guess I got the wrong cover and title on it. It's not going over real good, but don't miss it. I'll leave the link right up here. And good day.